Okay, our second speaker is Mahima Sharma. She's a postdoctoral researcher at the Department of Biomedical Engineering, City College of New York. And she's working with Lucas Parra. She's also an advocate of mental health and equity in education. And her talk today is titled Synaptic Evidence for the Cumulative Effects of TDCS in Spaced Learning.
Thank you, Ezgi, for the nice introduction. Hi, everyone. I am Mahima. I'm working in Professor Lucas Parra's lab, as Ezgi mentioned, in the City College of New York. And today I am going to present exciting results from our lab on the synaptic evidence for the effects of TDCS in the space learning in the hippocampus. So let's move on with the topic today. So transcranial, sorry. Transcranial direct current stimulation, also popularly known as TDCS, is a non-invasive brain stimulation technique where a weak constant current of 2 milliamps or less is applied across the scalp. So the current enters from the anode and it exits the scalp through the cathode. And this application of current generates an electric field between the two electrodes. And this electric field is usually in the range of 1 volts per meter. And what does this electric field does? What it does is that it leads to polarization in the brain. So certain areas are hyperpolarized and certain areas are depolarized. And Farzan, who is going to talk right after me, is going to talk more about the polarity and TDCS. So this simple technique is very effective in different forms of improved learning in humans, and it has been shown to be effective in various conditions like neurorehabilitation, psychiatric disorders, and cognitive enhancement. So stimulation is usually applied during a training regime, and then a lasting enhancement is seen, which is specific to that learned task. Now, it's great that TDCS works better in human trials. We see its effectiveness, but we are still do not really understand what are the underlying mechanisms of TDCS, which can help inform the future protocols for TDCS better that can concern the safety and the efficacy of the TDCS. So how do we do that? So animal models allow us to study the underlying mechanisms, how exactly the TDCS is causing the changes in the neuronal network and what are the consequences. And for that, of course, there are many in vitro studies which point that TDCS improves the learning by mediating the Hebbian synaptic plasticity. So these are the recent results from our lab where Greg Kronberg led the study, and what he found, as you can see in the red here, red is the anodal stimulation of direct current stimulation to the hippocampal slice, which was when paired with the TBS induction. It resulted in a boost in the synaptic plasticity as it is evident in the red when you compare the black and the red. So now there are many in vitro studies which support this theory that TDCS improves learning by modulating Hebbian synaptic plasticity. But there are two main challenges with that study. So what are those challenges? The first challenge being that the electric fields which are used in these in vitro experiments are much higher in the range of 20 volts per meter, as you can see here, than the electric fields generated with the TDCS in humans, which are in the range of 1 volt per meter. And another reason why the effectiveness of TDCS has been called into question is because of the relatively small effect sizes, as you can see here. Like you see there's an effect, but the effect size is so small that we have to do many experiments to really reach the significant level. So we know that in humans, we do see an effect of TDCS. So definitely something is happening in the synaptic plasticity level. But of course, we are missing something in the protocol, or some point is missing, which is preventing us from really dissecting out the mechanisms. So that is what we are trying to figure out. And that is what the objective of our study is. How do we resolve these two challenges so that we can study the TDCS better? We can really dissect out the mechanism, which can inform the future stimulation protocols, keeping in mind the safety and the efficacy of TDCS. And also in the same study, the one part of the study was a dose response curve, which we did, which showed us that the higher field intensities will have stronger effects, as you can see here. But again, the effect size is very small. So our goal is to how do we resolve these effect sizes? So in order to get there, what we did is we did some research and we looked back into the human TDCS domain. And what we are seeing is that there's much more popularity of this multi-session TDCS. So where did this multi-session TDCS came from? So the scientists who are working with the human TDCS domain, they have leveraged this observation that effects of learning in humans are known to accumulate over multiple bouts of learning, which is known as space learning. And then deriving inspiration from the same, they are doing multiple sessions of TDCS paired with training as spread out over different days and multiple sessions. And what they have found is that the effects are much more stronger, whether it be in case of motor rehabilitation, language learning, or other cognitive enhancements. So now we have also seen that there is a synaptic evidence of the space learning in the hippocampal slice. So there are in vitro studies. So here, this is an example of a study from Gary Lynch's group, where they have used TBS, theta burst stimulation, to induce LTP and see how the space learning effect is there. And as you can see, there's a cumulative effect. So now, having known that, it led us to hypothesize that maybe, like, to resolve these challenges which we are facing in the in vitro study for the TDCS and to improve the effectiveness of TDCS at realistic field intensities, maybe our answer lies in the space learning paradigm. Because in space learning paradigm, we see the cumulative effect. So maybe TDCS will have a cumulative effect in the space learning paradigm, which will help us resolve the effect sizes, one. And second, we can also maybe go with lower field intensities, which will be realistic as compared to the human studies. So these are our two hypotheses. The first is that the effect of DCS on synaptic LTP could accumulate over time in a space learning paradigm. And the second being that the stronger fields should lead to bigger effects. So now how do we check these hypotheses? For that, we have taken male Vista rats, which is 25 to 30 days old. We made 400 micrometer thick hippocampal transverse slices, which were incubated in interface chamber for 30 minutes. Before that, there was a recovery in the holding chamber, 30 minutes each. And then we place these hippocampal slices in a parallel orientation between the two AG-AGCL wires, which are parallel to each other. These are the wires which are used to apply the direct current stimulation to these hippocampal slices. And then this is the location of the electrodes. We have a stimulating electrode for orthodromic stimulation here. And then there are two electrodes. One is in the dendrite, another is in the soma. So then dendritic electrodes picks up the field EPSP signals, and the soma electrode picks up the pop spike signals. And then of course, after that, this followed by taking input output curve, a baseline recording, and then TBS stimulation in coupled with the DCS. So what did we find? So here are the results. So we have used the TBS protocol, which is 4 pulses at 100 Hertz, repeated for 15 bursts for 5 Hertz. So this is a high intensity TBS, which is being used in our lab in the past in vitro studies for the TDCS. And what we have found is that when we couple the TBS space learning paradigm with electrical stimulation of 2.5 volt per meter, again, we do see an effect. There is an effect. And then we thought, okay, this is 2.5 volt per meter. Let's go to 20 volts per meter and what happens? And this is what happened. So we do see an effect, but the 20 and 2.5 really overlap. And also between the control and the anodal, there is not a significant difference, as you can see here. There's a trend, there is an effect, but there's not significant difference. So again, we came to square one. We couldn't resolve the effect size. And again, the induction was too high. We couldn't see a stronger effect at high field intensities. So we had to really pick our brains and figure out what is the problem. And then we realized the problem was in our intensity of TBS, because we are using the maximum intensity TBS. So it's equivalent to me performing my best. And if you apply TDCS to me, I won't be able to perform any more better because I'm already at my best. So then we look back at the review and we realize the space learning studies are done with the 10 bursts of TBS. So we decided, all right, let's go to the 10 bursts of TBS, and maybe then we will be able to resolve our questions, which we have been facing for so long, and we could improve the effectiveness of TDCS. So we moved on to using 10 bursts of TBCS, 4 pulses, and then again, the TBS, we applied 4 inductions, and when we coupled these TBS, this time we used electric field of 10 volts per meter, and you can see that we could really resolve the effects, and at each TBS induction between the control and anodal, there was a significant difference, as is evident from here. So here, not only we were able to resolve the effect size, but we also saw that the effects are much more larger and they accumulate over time. So these are the conclusions from our study. So the conclusion being that DCS applied during repeated bouts of TBS resulted in an increase of LTP, and the space learning was saturated quickly with the stronger TBS protocols. Therefore, it was obscuring the cumulative effects of DCS. But when we used a weaker TBS, we could see cumulative effect of space learning, including a cumulative boost of LTP with electric fields of lower intensity. So the take-home message for all of you guys is that, sorry. The effects of TDCS accumulate through an increasing synaptic strength after repeated bouts of learning. So that's all from my side. I would like to thank my PI Lucas Parra, the lab members, the Neural Engineering Lab Group at CCNY, NeuroMatch for giving me the opportunity to share my results, and of course, the lovely audience we have here today, and I'm open to questions.
Thank you very much, Mahima, for this wonderful talk. It was really nice. So do we have questions? You can again post the questions at the Q&A section. Okay, so maybe I can ask my question then. What would be the because I mean I'm always thinking about like human research. So what would be the implications for using TDCS in humans?
So the TDCS is already being used in humans. There are many investigations which are being done for its effectiveness, and they have found it's effective. It's just that the challenge we are facing right now that we want maximum effectivity at lower intensities, because we have to take safety into consideration. So there are certain human studies that use different types of electrode montages to generate an electric field of 6 volts per meter. So this studies aim to like how we can, while applying lower field intensities, still have a maximum effect of TDCS so that it's within a safety threshold, and whatever questions which are being asked and for the effectiveness of TDCS, we could address that question. So that's the purpose of this study.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay.
I'll ask a question.
Yeah, sure.
Do you see this will be very easily translatable to human study because they can just apply space learning and it's with the same parameter, but just adding in space learning to like a clinical study?
Yes, actually, like the inspiration also came from the human studies, because they are doing the multi-session TDCS session, and every time they are doing a training coupled with the TDCS, because again, there are different ways they apply TDCS. Is it like online or offline? Is it during training or before training or after training, and they see the effect? So in our study, of course, we are interested to know the online, like what happens if we are applying the TDCS during the LTP induction, and which can be translated into humans when TDCS is being applied during the training sessions. And it is showing that it is effective, but what our aim is to like really figure out what are the underlying mechanisms so that we can fine tune the protocols which we already have in the human domain, and also like really work on the safety and the efficacy, because those are the two important components which are really necessary for any intervention which we need to work for the humans.
Thank you. Sounds good.
Thank you also, Jasmine, for the question. So maybe one last question. What would be the next step for you?
Oh, so the next step, yeah, I forgot to mention in the excitement. So next, as I showed that we have done the study for the 10 volts per meter. So my next step is to check with 2.5 volts per meter, because again, we want it to be at more realistic field intensities, because we already see a very significant effect with 10, which is already half of what we were using before 20. So now our next step is to do it 2.5, which we did with the higher intensity and we saw something. But now, since we know that with the lower intensity TBS, we're able to resolve the effects using the space paradigm, that is our next step. And of course, in the interest of time, I wasn't able to share other observations from the same data. Like we do see a difference between the induction and the maintenance, and the TDCS is affecting the maintenance. So of course, asking that question would be the next step also.
Thank you. Thanks, Mahima.